Hello and welcome to this screencast. Today we're going to learn how to view another student's draft and why we would need to do that and what we would do after we had done it. So let's get started. First, select your course and click on the assignment where you have to review another student's draft. Here's the draft. Of course, you have a student account, and so some of these buttons are going to look a little different, but do what you always do in order to upload an assignment. If you do it here or if you do it through the Dropbox, whatever you do. After you upload your assignment, go back into your assignments page. Click right here on assignments, go right back in there, and when you do, this page will look a little different. You'll have something here that wasn't there before. It'll say View Shared Submissions. After I grade your paper will be available for view by other students if I've warned you that it's going to be an assignment that you guys will be looking at each other's drafts. So what will happen is when you click on this, you'll be able to see a list of all of the other students who have submitted this assignment. So why would you need to do this? I've added some information to the directions and I just want to talk about them a little bit. One of the things that you can do to really learn is to look at another student's paper. And I want you guys to know how to get the grade you want. To get the grade you want, you have to really study a rubric and look at another person's paper other than your own, because when we look at our own paper, we have a tendency to know what we meant, and so we won't see some of our own mistakes. But if we look at another person's paper, we'll say, oh, this other person did something really well. I'd like to try to do that in my paper. Or this student had trouble with transitions. I wonder if I had trouble with transitions in my paper. So this is a very valuable activity. You'll learn a lot from it, but it does take a little work and it does take a little time. What I want you to do is go back to the content module, and I'll show you really quickly where this is. Go to the content module and look at the rubric for how this paper will be graded. I know that the wording is very small, but I really want you to take a look at it, study it, and think about it. So here's the rubric. Generally speaking, most of your grade comes from how well your paper is supported. And so if you've made some mistakes with attributing some sources, you might get a C for support. If you have good ideas, but you might need a little bit more evidence, or you might need to relate your ideas a little bit more closely to the thesis. All of these are markers of a C paper. If there are some fallacies, or if you appear to be unfair in your paper, if you use language about your opposition that says that that seems to imply that you think your opposition is ridiculous or completely insane, any kind of language like that makes you, the author, appear unfair, and so that affects your support grade. And so I wanted you guys to have a chance to look at that, because when you're objective, you're much more likely to get an A for support. So you have to sound objective throughout your paper. So one of the things that I want you to look at is, would you say your paper is too narrow or too broad? Do you think that you've got a topic instead of a thesis? Or is your thesis so straightforward that only one source would have been sufficient to document it? If all of those describe your paper, then you can make a pretty good guess at what grade you're going to get. And if this is weighted at 20%, and then you have good unity, or if you have trouble with unity, all of these things can help you to determine whether or not you're going to get the grade that you want in this course. And so what I want you to do is think about how each of these applies to your paper, but you'll do much better at evaluating your own paper once you've thought about how somebody else's paper measures up against this rubric. Because again, you'll see that other students do some things better than you, and maybe you'll see that you do something a little bit better than somebody else. Everybody's good at different things. Everybody struggles with different things. When you guys can help one another to move, like for instance, if one person you think is going to get a B, what kind of advice could you get them to move them up to an A? And the better advice you give someone else, the more likely it is that you are going to be able to move your own paper up to that A level. So I want you to think about all those things, and I know that it can be a little scary and a little intimidating to give other people feedback on their paper. That's true. Believe me, I understand. But remember too that you're giving advice just at the quality that you want to get advice. So if you really want somebody to help you, get out there and help somebody. And that person's going to be much more likely to take the time to help you. The world is a big place, and we only have each other to depend upon. And so help one another. This is a great work skill. We need it in the workforce. We need it in life. So this is a great place to practice something that's not just a comp skill, but also a life skill. Good luck, guys.